this so that anybody who is not here will have the ability to watch this on the state website later. So that, again, if they couldn't make it, they'll be able to see all this in review. All right, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my presentation. All right, and Steve, can you see my?
I can see it. I'm good.
Good, good. All right. If there's anybody else that can't, again, please use the chat feature to let us know, and we'll go from there. All right, gentlemen, this presentation is designed to briefly explain how to set up and use Square in your council or assembly. Although not officially endorsed by the Supreme Council, we will go over best practices and methods that they suggest when using this service. So what is Square? Square is a service that allows your council or assembly to accept credit, debit, and mobile payments in person and online for anything you're doing. What's the cost of this service? Whether accepting payments in person or online, the only fee you pay is the processing fee at the moment of payment. There are no setup or reoccurring fees. To simply put, if you're not using this service, you are not paying for it. What are the processing fees? Swiping a card or taking a mobile payment in person is only 2.6% of the transaction plus 10 cents. So for example, if I was selling a fundraiser dinner after church for $10, Square would take 36 cents of the transaction and send $9.64 to my bank account. Online sales through a website or invoices sent via email, the Square fee is 2.9% of the transaction plus 30 cents. So if I sell $10 worth of raffle tickets online, Square would take 59 cents and transfer $9.41 to my bank account. If you key in someone's credit card information manually, either in person or using the Square online terminal, this takes away for some of the credit card security that's in place by the credit card companies, and this is not recommended. But if you do have to do it, the fee is 3.5% of the transaction plus 15 cents. So on a $10 sale, the fee would be 50 cents, and Square would send $9.50 to your bank account. How can you take payments at Square? Well, in person, you get a free magnetic stripe reader from the Square website when you sign up. The readers work with most Android and iPhones as long as they have either a headphone port or the Apple Lightning port, which the Apple Lightning port is the little one right here, and then of course that's the headphone port. Also in person, you can purchase the Square all-in-one terminal, which has the magnetic strip reader, it has the card chip reader, and it has the mobile tap reader. This unit can also print physical receipts. The cost of this unit is $2.99 plus shipping and handling. It does require a fully charged battery or a power source like from a wall outlet. It also requires a secure internet access. And what that means, gentlemen, is some people nowadays do not password their wireless. Because Square has to honor security, the wireless has to be passworded or else it will not let you connect to it. So it has to be a secure wireless connection to do that. And you can find out more about the accessories that go with that reader in the on the Square website. Now, you can also do Square online checkout. And again, that's just a reminder of the fee for that. So what are some of the ways you can take Square online? Well, you can take payments online through your own website, or you can build a free e-commerce website within the Square portal on your account. You can have a brother knight pay their dues online, or you can even do pre-sales for like chicken dinners, or you can even do raffle tickets or any kind of online event, any kind of event you're doing, you can pre-sell and do stuff online with it. You can even sell on your social media page and generate custom QR codes for people to scan and pay with their cell phone. You can also send invoices as well. When you invoice with invoices, you can send them as a one-time charge or a recurring charge. You can email or text the invoices to the person you're sending them to. And the invoices also allow the payee, instead of a credit card information, they can enter their bank routing information so they can pay via ACH. The ACH is 1% minimum of the is 1% of the transaction, or a minimum fee of $1 if the transaction is less than that. Now, what would we use this for in a council or assembly? Well, again, you can take due payments at meetings with a reader. You can send email invoicing to members. You can even have them do the invoice recurring, and that can be auto drafted from either their bank account or their credit card to pay their dues. You can accept credit cards at fundraisers. We do it all the time in my council at church. Anything we're selling at the church, we make sure we have a Square reader, and we're able to take credit card and cell phone payment. You can even use the system to create a unique, to take care of a problem uniquely. And I just want to give an example. So what my assembly does is, for our members who wish to participate in wearing regalia but can't afford the upfront cost, what my assembly has done using the Square invoicing is we will loan you the money to buy regalia on a 6-month no interest loan. And we will use the Square invoicing to automatically draft you for those 6 months to pay the assembly back for the new regalia. So again, you can get creative with this, guys. If there's something that Square doesn't do, you might be able to find a way to have it do it with the products and services that they offer. Now, how do we keep the books straight? Okay. The online dashboard that you get with your Square service account allows you to create and download reports to help you see what fees were taken out and what money was sent to your bank account and what was paid for. So this will be something that your treasurer and your financial secretary or your comptroller and everybody, they will be able to go and get these reports generated so that they can keep the books straight. How do you get started? You simply you go to the website. What you want to do is not use a personal email account to do this. You want to generate a free email account either with Google or Yahoo or whatever other free email services out there. That way, the email address that is used for the account can be transferred when the officers change. So you want to sign up using, again, a council or assembly email, not a personal one. You want to confirm the banking information so that Square can transfer your earned funds to you, and that transfer, gentlemen, takes 48 business hours to get the transfer to you. So, for instance, if you had done a fundraiser on a Friday, the funds won't be entered into your bank account until the following Tuesday because it's 48 business hours. It does not count Saturday and Sunday. You can also set up items that you commonly do that you sell at fundraisers. You can set those up as quick items so that they can be quickly chosen from your Square terminal or reader or whatever you're using. You can set those up ahead of time. Again, we do that all the time whenever we're selling in my own council. We have quick buttons that say one chicken dinner. We pressed that a couple of times, and for Lenten dinners, we did the same thing. Here's a fish dinner, here's a shrimp dinner. We just pressed the button and it showed up, and then we charged them as needed. So again, just little things that they have set up that'll help you out. You also want to make sure that you have a couple of members trained on how to use the reader and how to set everything up, just in case maybe that member can't make it, and so you don't want to not be able to take credit card just because he can't make it. So yeah, you want to have a couple of guys, and you can always assign people different account access to the Square. So for instance, if this is a person that's just going to be taking the credit card during the fundraiser, and he doesn't necessarily need to pull reports for financials, then that's all you have to give them access to is, hey, you only have access to sell. And of course, your treasurer and financial secretary would need to see what's being transferred to the bank account so they can have a little bit more access to that as well. Again, the website will show you how to set up roles for people that are signed in the Square. Now, another thing I know that came up for those of you that already have a Square account and already have a login, Square will only let you have one login per person, regardless of how many entities are using Square. But what we found out is if you're set up to say like you have a personal Square account and then you're also set up in your councils, when you sign into Square, it asks you, are you signing into your personal account? Or are you signing into your council's account or your assembly's account? Then whatever you choose, that's where it lets you go from there. So again, you can have as many guys as you want on the account and give them whatever access that they need. At this time, gentlemen, I was going to see if we have any questions. I haven't seen anything come up in the chat yet, but if you're wanting to chat something right now, if there's something I haven't gone over yet, please feel free to do so now. Oh, I'll tell you what, I see your hand raised. So, Mr. Keith, I'm going to go ahead and allow your mic so you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening, Brett.
Good evening, sir.
Will you be posting these slides on the state's website?
Yes. This actually entire webinar is being recorded. As soon as it processes, I will get Brandon to post this video on the state website.
Okay. But I was just wondering about just the slides.
Yes, I will also have the PowerPoint as well.
If the video is posted, we can pause it when we need to.
Yes, you can pause it when you need to. I will also have a copy of the PowerPoint up there as well.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Not a problem. Does anybody else have a question? Well, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead. This is my contact information. I am in the directory, but if y'all want to go ahead and copy this down, like I said, if anybody, oh, I'm sorry, Steve, I see your hand raised. Go ahead.
Brett, a question as far as right now when we make these deposits, there's a coordination between the financial secretary and the treasurer, where the financial secretary receives the money, gives it to the treasurer gives him a little receipt saying, I got this much money, and that can be traced back through the financial system and all for audits and whatever else. How does that work when, say, you're at a fish fry and you collect so much money that's going to go through the Square account, and then the rest of it's going to be cash and checks that's going to be deposited? Who gets notified, and how do you get notified what money goes through Square straight into your bank account?
So again, that's a very good question. Again, and this is the reason I asked that everybody provide themselves either a council or an assembly email address that somebody else can have access to, like not your personal. So for perfect example, in my council and in my assembly, we have a Gmail account. That's what we've registered our Square accounts under. whenever anything comes through transaction wise, that those email accounts get emailed saying, like you said, you sold this many fish dinners last night at your last event, and it gives you a breakdown of the fees that were charged and the money that will be transferred to your bank account and when it is expected to hit your bank account. Now, that email address, both my treasurer and my financial secretary, they have access to that email account, and I've also went a step further as to have those emails copied from our council account to theirs. That way they're not having to constantly check it. They're getting notified on their personal emails. Now that's something I did. You don't necessarily have to do that, but again, it saves some time and saves them from having to check another email. But we have a record of it at on our council email, and then both those officers get a copy of that email through that account. Now, what they do, obviously, the month Square is going to transfer those funds automatically. But what we kind of do is there's a mock. We still fill out the receipt as if the financial secretary received the funds and then did bank transfer. The treasurer still signs off, even though the transfer happens automatically. We still keep a record as if it was a cash or a check transaction that was going to the bank account, and that is a recommendation from Supreme that be done so that you have a record. The other thing we also have done now, because this has been established in my council and assembly, we have now gone and budgeted for the fees for the year. We know about how much we spend in fees based on the reports that we've gotten because we have used this now from now on. My recommendation to councils or assemblies that are just starting out and want to do that best practice by having that fee already in your budget for the year, I would say right now on average, and we use it a lot. We try and use it for everything we can. We average about $100 a year in fees. Now you got to understand that's everything from everybody paying their dues, recurring invoices that we're sending, and every single fundraiser we've done and collected money for through the credit card. Like I said, we average about $100 a year on that. That'll fluctuate just depending on how much or little you use it. So that's a best practice thing from Supreme that has been recommended if you are using this service. Mr. Mike, I see your hand up, so I'm gonna go ahead and allow your mic, and you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to ask if you know if the state council has any kind of recommendation on how, I'm the finance secretary of my council, how the finance secretary should handle in particular dues payments, any special accounting for that. I know we'd have to, give credit or charge less for the fees. So do you have any recommendations on exactly how we ought to handle that?
Square will allow you, and again, what we've recommended from the state council, we've learned in the state council, and we've also learned in my own council. We've actually learned to go ahead and just eat the fees as part of an expense instead of passing it on to the purchaser, or the due payer. And the reason for that is because there gets to be kind of a confusion. Well, I'm paying with credit card, so it's a little bit more expensive than if I'm paying cash or check. And it just got to be easier to just say, look, we're including the fees, as part of our expense as a council, and to do that because it's less confusion on the public, not only for dues, but for selling to the public as well. And now, like I said, if you want to include those fees, Square does give you that ability to do that if you need to.
Right. Well, I mean, I suppose in either case, if finance secretary does billing on member management, it's got a certain amount that's due. If it's paid through Square, the council would collect less than that amount. So either the financial secretary would have to give some kind of a credit to the member, member account, their dues account, or, the council would pick council itself. I don't know.
Basically what we just, like I said, what we decided in our council, we're just going to eat that fee. And because we found that, if you're giving your members more ways to pay their dues, they might actually pay it. Especially if you got a problem person that, keeps forgetting to send in their payment or whatnot. So,
well, I certainly can understand and appreciate that. So, like I say, I suppose the council or the assembly would have to just, the finance secretary, controller would have to credit their dues account for the fees.
Correct. And again, that's going to be something that your council will have to vote on, and decide how they want to. But again, best practices were recommended is that if your council budgets for those fees, then they're already accounted for.
I understand. Very good.
So,
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. All right, Mr. Gary, I'm going to go ahead and allow your mic. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Mr. Gary. Mr. Gary? Going once.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the first question a little bit. Right now, and I'm kind of new at being treasurer.
Yeah.
Right now, my financial secretary hands me the money with a voucher.
Correct.
Saying this is the money. So if we do a Square transaction, I mean, we're using Square, and when we're having a fundraiser, I get hundreds of hundreds, around 100, 120 different messages from Square telling me so-and-so bought a dinner.
Right.
I mean,
there's a way to pull a report on the Square website on your account. So what I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you're just saying use that report instead of the individual sales.
Correct. So what we do is, excuse me, I'm hearing an echo, so I'm just going to mute you real quick. So what we do in our council is our financial secretary, after we have a fundraiser, he either pulls the report or he actually has me pull the report sometimes when he's busy, and I'll send him the report. He will review it, and create the voucher from the report, and then send that to the treasurer. The treasurer has access, and he will verify that report is correct, from our Square account, and then we'll sign off on the voucher, just like you would normally do if you were doing like a cash or check deposit. Did that answer your question?
That does answer my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Mr. George, I'm going to go ahead and allow your mic.
All right. I'm the financial secretary for our council, and we collect dues like everybody else. How do I know, or how does Square tell me that Joe Blow gave him $40 for dues when, say, like he swiped his wife's credit card? How does Square know to tell me that Joe paid his dues when I have his wife's credit card?
That's a good question. So if you're taking the credit card in person, what we have found is we have a button on our Square terminal that says due payment. So we press that and it comes up with our due charge. Before we finalize the transaction, we add a note to it, and we put the person's name that's paying the dues. Now, if they're doing it online or through an invoice, then it's gonna require that they put their information down, and you will get an email. Like I said, at that point, you'll be able to go into your Square account online. Like I said, because the email will just be a summary. It'll just say, "Hey, you got X amount of dues payments, and the total is this, and this is what's being sent to your bank account." you'll then be able to later log into the Square account at any time and look at the details of that transaction so that you can say, okay, yes, this was John Doe that paid his dues, even though he was using his wife's credit card.
Okay, but this would have to be done, like you said, to put a memo item would have to be using the all-in-one terminal.
Well, if you use the terminal or the app and you're taking the due payment in person, like at a meeting, whoever's taking the payment needs to add a note to the transaction before finalizing it. And just like I said, all we do on the note, we just add the person's name.
Okay. Yeah, just something to identify that he gets credit and we can issue his travel card.
Oh, no, absolutely. Because trust me, we ran, like I said, that's the beauty of my council kind of having tested this already. We've already made those mistakes and learned from them.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem, sir. All right. All the name I've got here is MBKC8342. I'm gonna go ahead and allow your mic.
So it sounds like the terminal is well worth the investment. And my question is, are there routine maintenance or upgrades, or what if this breaks? Those are some questions I can see coming.
The terminal is, we found better because we don't know, what kind of cell phone some people have, or if they change cell phones and the phone used to have a headphone port and now the new one doesn't. Again, yeah, so and like, it's not that you can't use a smartphone, it's just we found it was a lot easier when we were trying to do that. It's like, hey, we don't have to worry who has a phone. We have a terminal now. Yeah, it does seem to be a little bit costly, but it is well worth it. We've had ours now in my council. I want to say 5 years now. We've been using it for 5 years now. The only thing we've had to replace is the receipt paper, which you can order those through the Square online as well. The machine does come with a warranty. It's a limited warranty, and I don't remember it off the top of my head, but they do state the warranty on the website in the item description when you go there to purchase it. It does, I will tell you this, because obviously, we're not using that terminal every day. And what I have found out is anytime we know we have something coming up, whether I'm going to be taking dues payments at a meeting or whether we got a fundraiser coming up outside of church, I will usually go to, well, we have like a little closet where we at church where we store all of our council stuff. I will usually go no shorter than the day before. I will make sure that the unit is charged, and I will also make sure there are no software updates, because if there is a critical software update that it needs, it will force you to do the update before it will allow you to use the terminal. And that, like I said, again, having used this for so long and learned what not to do, we've learned that can hinder you at a fundraiser if you're waiting for an update to finish and everybody's trying to pay with a credit card. But yeah, now as far as the warranty on the unit, I'm not sure what all it covers and how long it's for, but that information is on the Square website.
Thank you, Brett.
Not a problem, sir. Mr. Keith Gautreaux, I'm going to go ahead and allow you again. Go ahead.
All right, I've actually got two questions for you. One,
Uh-oh.
well,
What
do you have just the one terminal?
No, sir. We actually have 3. And a reason for that is we have 3 for whenever there's a certain event we do at our council where we have several spots where people can come pay. It's our parish picnic. And we've learned that we've had to have that many terminals at once. We don't always use them at once, and we also other ministries have found out we have these terminals, and these terminals can be used with other accounts. You do actually have to sign into your account with the terminal. So other ministries have been thankful that we've allowed them to borrow that when we're not using it.
Okay, so other church organizations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, you said you get a free magnetic stripe reader. Do y'all have multiple of those? And what is the cost on those to purchase?
Those are free. The catch is you can only order them one at a time, and those are only the ones that work with the smartphones.
Yes.
So in other words, that's the in fact, if I go back to that slide so I can show you. Oh, that's not it. There you go. Yeah, so these only work with a smartphone. So again, you got the little headphone plug right here, and then you got what they call the Apple Lightning port right here. So again, the smartphones have to have one of those ports. And like I said, you can order these, but again, they're free. They don't charge you any shipping for them. But the trick is that they only let you order them one at a time. So if you need more than one, you got to order one, wait for it to come in, then you can order the next one.
Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem, sir. All right, Mr. Troy, I'm going to go ahead and allow your mic. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Oh, yes. All right. Did he? Okay, I guess he's not. All right, our worthy state secretary, Mr. Vince Whittington, I'm going ahead and allowing your mic. And you can unmute yourself. Vince, go ahead and unmute yourself, buddy. Let's see. I've allowed your mic, Vince. You just got to unmute it. Or if you want to go ahead and type your question in the chat.
Brett, you've got a question in chat from Dan McGovern, and Troy said he couldn't unmute. So Troy, you might want to.
Well, yeah. So I have to allow your
question.
mic before you can unmute. So yeah, once I say I've allowed your mic, then you should be able to mute yourself. Did we get any other? Let's see. See, Dan, when you say right here about the square, oh, were y'all not able to see the little laser pointer? Oh, I guess not.
I can see it.
Are you seeing it like going in circles?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Donald, I'm going to go ahead and allow your mic, and you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Tell you what. Let me try something. Allow. There we go.
Okay, how about now?
There we go.
Okay. Can you use multiple of the little square units?
Yes. Like I said, so we actually have more than one in my council. And during our parish picnic, we have to use all three of ours during our parish because we have several booths set up, and we have one in each booth, and we're able to use them all at the same time.
So you weren't talking about having multiple of the $300 readers, right?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We have three of those readers.
The ones that print the receipt and everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But I guess the small ones that you get for free.
No, so those work with a smartphone, and there is a Square app that you can download, but you'll need that little reader to use the app.
Okay. So do you need three of the readers or just one?
No. So you one reader per smartphone. So however, basically, it's however many smartphones you need to take Square payments at the time. If you're only needing the one, then you only need the one.
Okay. But the one that prints out the receipts, do you need multiple of those?
You don't need multiple. We just have it for because we found that was easier than sending everybody that was paying with credit cards to just one spot. We found that it was easier to have a reader at each spot we were taking payments to do that.
Now, when you say a reader, are you talking about just the little square thing?
No, I mean, I'm when I say reader, I'm meaning our Square terminal reader is what I mean.
Okay,
The all-in-one.
Not the one that prints out the receipts.
That's the one. Yeah, the all-in-one reader is the one that prints out the receipts as well.
Okay.
Yep.
And when will you have all of this online to where we can have? I'm the only one that showed up here. A couple of my other people were supposed to, but they didn't.
Oh yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, I'm hoping to have it online by tomorrow. Again, that's something I got to work out with our website builder at the state. But yeah, we should be able to have all this on the website for tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. All right, Mr. Joe, go ahead and allow you, and you can go ahead and unmute you. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. A couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Can you charge the percentage fee to the transaction and make or allow the customer to know that you're charging the 2-3% on the
Yes, you can, and it actually will show up on their receipt.
Okay, so that's an option that we have to say, hey, there's a 3%. I'm just saying 3% fee. Are you okay with us adding that to that? And so
that's correct. And Ms. Joe, and I just want to say, like I said, that's completely up to your council or assembly to decide whether or not they want to do that. Okay. But just to let you know, we found that was confusing our buyers and our members when we were giving one price for credit card and another price for cash and check. So
gotcha. And then that would relate to the second question. Have y'all had any disputed charges with the Square program?
No, and I will tell you, so I've implemented the Square program in my council, in my assembly, and at the state level. Okay. We have not had any security breach or anybody reporting a false charge with our accounts. And like I said, we've been running this now for 5 years.
Okay. That's all I have. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, sir. Do we have any more questions? Oh, yes, Steve, go ahead.
This is a question. When you put that little reader, the little stripe reader on your phone, do you need to have an internet connection? Yes,
both on if you're using the smartphone or if you're using that all-in-one reader, it not only requires internet, it requires secure internet, which means the wireless internet you're connecting to has to have a password. If you try and connect to an internet connection that does not have a password, it will not work. It will not let you use the Square terminal or the Square smartphone app. And another thing, I just thought about this, Steve, that when you asked that question, and this actually refers to when we started using it at the state. If you're in a hotel, and a lot of hotels, in order to access their wireless, you have to open up a web browser and say what room number you're in. You can't do that on the terminal. So the terminal will not, you'll have to ask a hotel if there's another Wi-Fi that doesn't require that kind of confirmation. You can do it with your smartphone because once you're allowed to access that internet, your smartphone has internet, and then the app doesn't care. But the terminal does not have a way to do that, so you won't be able to do the terminals on a regular hotel Wi-Fi. Any other Wi-Fi that you have, as long as it has a password, you should be able to connect to it.
So if I'm out at the public park having a picnic, I'm probably not going to get an internet connection, right?
Well, it depends. In the public park on their Wi-Fi service, do they have a password you have to enter before they'll let you connect?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just saying if I go to a public area, I don't know if they have internet, you know?
Well, and that's you'll be able to. So the terminal, both your smartphone and the terminal have a way to look and see what available networks they can see, and there'll be a little lock icon by the network name to let you know it is a secure network that you can connect to. If it doesn't have a lock icon, it means it's not a secure internet, and that means the Square service won't work on that.
And that's even with the little swipe readers, not the.
Yeah, whether you're using your smartphone app or if you're using the all-in-one terminal reader that prints receipts as well.
Yikes. Okay. Because our KC hall, the hall that we use, doesn't have internet service in it.
Yeah, so then
we're across the street from the parish hall from the church, and we don't.
Do y'all ever sell at the hall itself, or do y'all sell at the church on the church grounds?
No, that's where we do our fish fries, is in our hall.
Okay. Now the other thing you can do, because we have some spots like normally when we're selling in front of the church, our church has a Wi-Fi antenna with secure internet that we can connect to, but they move us to a different spot for Lenten dinners, and the wireless doesn't quite reach there. So what I do, I have on my cell phone, I have the ability to broadcast wireless internet from my cell phone and have things connect to it. I use that. Normally I use that for work if I'm in an area where I don't have internet and need to get on my laptop. But because I broadcast secure internet off my cell phone in that way, I can connect the Square terminal to it and go right ahead taking payments. For those of you who are familiar with this, that's also called tethering. All right. Mr. Gary, you have a question again?
I do. I have one of the newer Android phones, and it doesn't have the usual audio plug. Have you all run into that? And if so, have you figured out a workaround?
We have, and our workaround was getting the all-in-one terminal.
All right. Thanks, Brett.
All right, Mr. Was that did it answer your question?
That was my question. I ran into that.
Yes, sir. I understand. All right, Mr. Joe.
Hey, it's sorry for another question. So what about hotspots?
Yeah, as long as the internet is secured with a password to connect to it, you can use a hotspot.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. All right, Mr. George.
Okay, I just signed into my Square app again, and it comes up and says that I can use my iPhone to accept contactless payments.
Yes,
something new.
That's because your iPhone has that ability to do that tap connection. So yes, you would be able to do that from your smartphone as well.
Okay, good.
Now this is just George. That tap connection only works with credit cards that have that little wireless symbol. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
And it'll also work with Apple Pay and Google Pay.
Okay. All right.
But if they have just like a regular chip card or just a magnetic card and not the little, then you'll have to have a reader to take those.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I just started using that for gas and stuff like that too, and it works great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, great. Thank you.
Not a problem. Let's see. Do we have any questions that we didn't get to in the chat? Let's see. Yes, it can be used on data for the tethering. Let's see. And all right, gentlemen, do we have any other questions? Going once. Going twice. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for coming in and participating in this little webinar. I hope it was informative. Again, as soon as I can, I'm going to have the recording of this webinar on the state website, as well as a copy of my PowerPoint. Again, you all have my contact information. I am in the state directory. If any of you need any assistance while setting up or using this, please feel free to contact me. But please give me enough time to help you as well, too. As well. Gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and let's end this with a Hail Mary in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Vivat Jesus, gentlemen. Thank y'all for participating.
Thanks, Brett.